G'day, I'm Paul. So the BMW X3, we haven't driven one in a while and I thought, let's get behind the wheel and see if it is still any good. We drove the Porsche Macan recently, so I thought, time to get back into this. Now, this is the diesel, the 3-litre diesel. It is 6 cylinders and it is kind of where I reckon the pick of the bunch is for the diesel engines. It's called the xDrive 30D. It's priced at just over $100,000. These really have crept up in price. I remember when the X5 was $100,000, but that's too expensive though. The entire range kicks off at just over $80,000. This competes with things like the Mercedes-Benz GLC, the Porsche Macan, the Audi Q5. There are a few premium cars in that little segment there. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of the review, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. That way you can find out every single time we drive a car that I haven't driven for a while. So let's talk exterior design. You've got 8 colours to pick from. All but white is going to set you back a staggering $2,000. They are expensive colour options. On the design front, X3, I just think it is a really classy looking car. It kind of looks like a mini X5 and it still has all the right proportions. It doesn't have an enormous grille like some of the BMW range. It really does look quite good. It is worth keeping in mind that for a little while there, some of these cars were de-specced. They reduced the prices to account for the spec that was missing during the semiconductor crisis. So if you do head in to buy one today, just check to see which features it has, because this particular car won't have some of the features that you'll be able to get today. They have just released a new X5 and I think the design direction they're heading in with that is actually really good. So I think that when this comes up for a facelift, it will probably follow the same trend. So big kidney grille up the front here. You have a camera nestled in there for your 360 camera. Vents down the bottom here for cooling as well. The thing I find interesting with BMWs, have a look at that bar that sits across the front there. It is odd that they chose to have that exposed in the sense that you're able to very clearly see that. So yeah, interesting design choice, but I guess it's good. It gives you a bit of an idea of the structural integrity of the car. BMW logo up the top here. This particular car has an option pack that includes a laser light. If you want to see how laser lights actually perform in comparison to other headlight technology, we have shot a video before that compares all of that. You can watch that by clicking up there, and that'll give you a little rundown of it. Around the side here, this does come standard with 20-inch alloy wheels, but this particular car has the 19s, which are a no-cost option. On the outside, you have a machined finish and then piano black on the inside. The 30D also comes with the M Sport package as standard, so you get the M Sport brakes. I do like the idea of the 19 a little better. This does have adaptive damping, but with the 19, you have a little bit more rubber to play with there, and it means that the ride should actually be not too bad. M badge just here that joins the M badge on the wheel and the M badge on the brakes. Up the top here, you have an indicator built into the wing mirror with a camera on the side there as well. Over here you have roof rails. This particular car has a panoramic roof as well. No privacy glass, but come around to the back with me. Around the back here you have a set of full LED tail lights. xDrive 30D to signify the spec. This car has the optional tow package, 2,000 kilo brake towing capacity, an X3 badge off to the side here as well. Look, I just think that this is still a really good looking car, and I do hope that when it comes time to facelift this in line with the X5 and it gets the new interior and all that sort of stuff, that they do keep some of this design, because I think it is a very smart looking vehicle. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do you think it looks good? Do you think they need to overhaul it? Let me know what you think. So we're inside the X3. We'll start off with the key. So you've got unlock, lock, boot, and then also a button there to switch the lights on. You have the M logo on the side and then brushed aluminium there as well. It's a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket. Once you're inside, you've got a push button start just down here. I actually really like BMW interiors. I think they mix tech with style and classiness, and I think this is no different. I mentioned earlier that they released the X5 facelift, and that has the curved screen, and I think that really is a big step forward as well. And it doesn't go sort of too crazy on the tech front, but it brings all of the latest and greatest tech into the cabin, and I think that once this gets that update, it's going to look really cool as well. For the moment, you have this slightly older setup here with iDrive and the 2 separate displays. Now, in terms of your materials, all of this stuff is soft to the touch. You can get different inlays here as well, depending on what you want to go for, but most of this feels fine. There is a lot of piano black down the bottom here and then across this center section as well. Not a huge fan of it because it does mark easily, but thankfully it's not on these main touch surfaces. In terms of the actual touch points though, that is sort of pretty soft there in the center, firmish on the door. How soft is it? We've got our gyrometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Build quality, what's it like? It all feels really nice and solid in our door test. Sounds European. So let's talk infotainment. You have a 12.3-inch infotainment screen up the top here. So it's a touchscreen, which means you can move through the menus pretty easily, and you also have the iDrive controller down the bottom here. It's all pretty straightforward to use, and the good part about this system is that it has an excellent voice recognition system, so you can tell the car to do what you need to do. You can also then pass voice commands through to your smartphone as well to better process those, which is cool. On the radio front, you have AM, FM, DAB, digital radio. It's all plumbed through a 12-speaker sound system. You can get a Harman Kardon branded sound system as well if you want some more beats. The standard one is pretty good as it is. In addition to that, you also have inbuilt satellite navigation. So this system works really well as well. Nice and quick, easy to use. Again, voice recognition does all the work for you. In terms of other interesting things, smartphone mirroring, you have both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Apple CarPlay is wireless. This is what it looks like. Full screen integration there, very, very impressive. And this is what Android Auto looks like. It is wireless as well. Full screen integration there too, so all pretty straightforward and easy to use as well. You do also have a screen here ahead of the driver. This gives you all of your trip computer functions and has a limited sort of customizability as well. Show you what that looks like when we go for a bit of a drive later on. It's also worth pointing out with this car as well that you have connected drive, which means you can remotely connect into the car using an app on your phone. And it's pretty cool because you can take a photo of the car's surroundings and scroll around and see what's going on around it. So it's a pretty cool sort of feature, and I love that we're getting into this sort of technology with cars these days, and is exciting stuff for infotainment and connectivity to come. Now, safety tech, you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You have an auto dimming rear vision mirror. One of the things that went missing with the semiconductor shortages was radar cruise control, so this car doesn't have it, along with wireless phone charging, but that is now standard if you do buy an X3. You do have blind spot monitoring built into the wing mirror. You also have rear AEB as well, so when you are reversing, it will slam the brakes on before you hit anything. You have rear cross traffic alert as well. In addition to that, on the parking front, you have front and rear parking sensors and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So quality of that is not too bad. So that's a view out the front there. You can then switch to different views. Actually, it's a bit hard to read our suitcase there, but you kind of get the impression of what's going on there. You can also then switch around to other views around the car. They're not too bad, I guess. It's sort of a bit hard to see what's going on there. That's Eagle's suitcases. You do have a couple of cool features though. So the park assist function allows the car to parallel and perpendicular park, but I quite like this function here. So the reverse assistant, it'll remember the last 50 meters of travel. So if you are down a narrow street, it'll allow you to back all the way out of that using the exact path that you took on the way in. If you do want to see how some of that technology works, click up there to watch a video that we shot before explaining that, because it is pretty cool. And finally, our horn test. That sounds very nice and strong. Now let's chat practicality, and we'll start off with connectivity. So you have one USB-A port down here. You have a 12-volt outlet just there. In the center console here, you have a USB-C port as well. You should have a wireless phone charger, like I mentioned before, but because semiconductors, this particular car doesn't have it. That's where it is if you do have it. What about storing your phone? So your phone can kind of live anywhere around here. You also have very good storage for coffee cups, so you can see that fits nicely in there without any risk of de-lidding. You can also fit water bottles in there as well, because you've got those teeth. Water bottle fits inside the door, and I think we should be able to get our Whopper water bottle in as well. Bang, no dramas at all. Very impressive storage there. On the other storage front, just down here near the driver's knee, you have a little storage slot there. Big old center console there as well, and a glove box over here for good measure too. And what about your comfort? So you have dual zone, automatic, climate control. Heated seats are very strangely optional. This car has them optioned, so you can see the heated seats just there. This also has an optional heated steering wheel as well. Electric seat adjustment, so you can go forwards, backwards. Your backrest can go forwards and backwards. You can lift the front of the seat, the back of the seat. You also have bolster adjustment there and seat memory for the driver as well. Seats are pretty comfy too. They don't have any perforations though, so if it is a super hot day, you will kind of stick to them a little bit, but they are quite comfortable with this bottom section extending as well. Steering offers both tilt and reach adjustment, and on the reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. Okay, second row of the X3. Look, room is actually not too bad. So my seat is pretty far back at the moment, and I have adequate knee room. Toe room is great. Headroom is really good as well. So it's pretty comfy space, and I think if you have a family, there's more than enough room here for the kids to move about. Map pockets in the back of the seats. You also have a third zone of climate control with air vents just here. 2 USB-C ports. You have a center armrest here that also has 2 cup holders built into there. So a bottle fits into there without too many dramas. Goes inside the door as well. Now, in terms of kiddie accommodation, ISOFIX points on the 2 outboard seats, 3 top tether points as well. And let's try a window test. See if the windows go all the way down. They're auto up and down. Boom, look at that. Fantastic. Good job, BMW. So let's talk cargo space. We'll whip the boot open. So power tailgate. You have 550 litres of cargo space available here just in the standard trim. It's actually not a bad setup. So load floor is nice. There is plenty of width there as well. Then you have a bit of storage under here too. You might be asking, where is the spare tyre? Well, this has run flats, which means it doesn't come with a spare tyre, and it does mean that you get a little bit of extra storage space in there, which I think is pretty good. Up the top here, you've got 12 volt. You have a hook off to the side here, hook down the bottom, and also this flexible hook here that slides up and down. So I'll show you what it looks like with our bags in there. So laptop bag in there, suitcase in there, it all fits nicely. You can expand the space if you do want a little bit more room. You've got to lean in for that. Drop your second row out of the way, and that expands the space to 1,600 litres. Okay, we've just hit the road in the X3. Now, I really like this engine. So 3-litre turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel. It makes 195 kilowatts of power and 620 newton meters of torque. It is just such a nice little combo there, and it's mated to an 8-speed torque converter automatic, so no dual clutch here, thank goodness. And that all sends torque through an all-wheel drive system, so it's able to vary the amount of torque it's sending between the front and rear axles, but it has a predominantly rear-wheel drive feel to it. How does all that feel behind the wheel? Well, it is damn punchy. When you lay into it, it pushes you right back into the seat, and I don't know, regardless of where you are in the rev band, you don't have to be going mega quick. You don't really have to be doing anything too silly. You can just lean on the throttle and it will just push you back into the seat. And that gearbox is so nice and quick as well that you really cannot catch it napping. You just get the throttle in and it just punches you back in the seat. So it is seriously good stuff. And it is such a shame the world is moving away from diesels, because I feel like this is peak diesel, this 6-cylinder. It is an absolutely beautiful engine. Now, what does all that mean in terms of fuel economy? So BMW claims a combined average of just over 6 litres per 100 Ks. We are currently sitting on 7.1, and I have given this a fair old hiding this morning. So 7.1 litres per 100 Ks is some pretty impressive stuff, I reckon. So yeah, hat off to BMW for being able to engineer something that is as efficient and as fun as this is. Let's talk about the ride. So this has the benefit of adaptive damping. So that means when you are in comfort mode, it's nice and comfortable, but when you do switch to sport, it really firms up nicely. So you do have a bit of variability there between the modes. And even in sport mode, you have standard, plus, and individual, so you can configure all of that stuff. The other big advantage of the ride setup here is the 19s that this is on. They really smooth out the ride beautifully. So when you are in comfort, you don't even get a shadow of doubt that you are driving a luxury vehicle. It doesn't feel like some BMWs, which can be overly firm, even in comfort mode. This really has a nice balance there between the two. Okay, let's crank the speed up to 130 so we can go for a drive over our sine waves. So the sine waves here, we attack them at 130 because it's the maximum speed in Australia. It's also the speed you're likely to do if you're overtaking, and the sine waves simulate a choppy section of country road. Oh, that is sensational. So excellent body control at the top end there. Really nice and smooth as well. So they have put a fair bit of effort into the ride and handling setup for this. What about your road noise? Look, with run flats, you tend to get a bit more road noise than you would typically with any other tyre. You do notice that here, especially on coarse chip roads. You get a bit of road noise as the speed picks up, and it is worse if you go for a bigger wheel, but it is bearable here, and it's really not the end of the world. Let's talk about visibility. So I can see clearly down the fronts of the car there, nice little hoops on the bonnet there. The wing mirrors could be a little bit bigger, but you get enough visibility down the side with a blind spot monitor built into those. Visibility out the back is not too bad. It's a bit of a narrow envelope, but it is what it is. The reverse camera is great, and it's easy enough to park in and around the city. Okay, let's put this into sport mode and go for a fang around our track. One of the things that BMW prides itself on is, I guess, their cars being sporty, and things like the X3 no exception, especially here in the diesel. So we'll see if that actually translates to on-road feel as well. Oh, not loving these tyres. So the 19s sit on a set of Pirelli, I'm not going to pronounce this right, Cinturato tyres, and they don't have a great deal of traction, which is a shame because this chassis is sensational. This is the same chassis they pull things like the X3M out of. Brake pedal feel is good. The steering feels excellent as well. Lots of communication through that. But yeah, I am noticing here that it is the tyres that are letting a lot of this down. Let's see what it's like on our back section here. Oh, this engine is so good. You can just lean on it and it gives you all of the torque that you need. The all-wheel drive system's great as well, so it's got a little bit of that rear bias, but it's feeding in torque through the front when we need it as well. So plow onto that back straight here. Yeah, look, it's actually picking up speed really nicely. Yeah, love this engine. So yeah, look, probably handling is good, but not amazing, especially with these tyres. Okay, our choppy country road. We do this at 90 k's an hour. Pop this back into comfort. This simulates an incredibly bad road here in Australia. We also have a tighter set of sine waves here to see what the body control is like over a tighter set of undulations. So we'll see what that feels like. That's awesome. So when the car doesn't have good body control over those tighter sine waves, it tends to float and you don't have much control over the direction the car's heading in. With that, everything was fine. There was no problems there. And even on this really choppy section here at 90 k's an hour, which is the speed I'll do all the cars at, it is so nice and smooth and comfortable. So yeah, good job BMW. Time to do a little bit of performance testing. We'll kick off with 0 to 100. See what that feels like. I'll put this into sport mode. I'm going to put it limited stability on as well, so we get a little bit of slip off the line if we need it. That over to sport as well. I love all these different settings you can have. And then we'll pound the throttle all the way up to 120 k's an hour to see what that feels like. So here we go. Oh, fires out of the box. My goodness. All right. And there's 120. So it had a little bit of slip off the line there. If we haven't met that time, I might give it just one more crack. So our 0 to 100 time, 5.6 seconds. So better than the claim, which is pretty awesome. And then 80 to 120, 4.18 seconds. So that's another really impressive time as well. It is an absolute rocket out of the box. Once you build up a bit of boost, it absolutely hammers. So that was good. All right, let's go do our 100 to 0 break and see how that fares. Okay, I'll dial this up to 100 k's an hour and slam down the anchors. Alrighty, so there's 100, and here's our braking marker. Oh, oh man. Yes. Pulled that seatbelt so tight as well, hazard lights on as well. So, all right, let's have a little look here and see how well it stopped from 100. So 100 to 0, 2.73 seconds in 37.9 meters. So not a bad stopping effort there, and very alarming when that seatbelt yanks you in. So that's awesome. Now our all-important reverse speed test. Go into reverse, we'll see how quickly it goes. Oh, that's good. All right, so 50 kilometers an hour on the dot. So the BMW X3, it has been a little while since we drove it, but I love this spec. That 30D engine is so good. It has so much punch. This particular car was let down a bit by those tires, but with better tires, The chassis is sensational. It rides great in and around town. It caters well for country roads here in Australia. And then with a decent set of tyres, it actually handles like an absolute beast as well. So this is an impressive car. They have jacked up the price, so do keep that in mind when you go shopping. You might be a little bit shocked at how much you're going to have to pay for it, but I guess that is the world we're living in at the moment. Have you bought an X3? What did you end up buying? And did you go with the 30D? Let me know in the comments section below. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon as well so you can find out every single time I get absolutely attacked by flies out here. But until next time, take it easy.